All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. We'll do a quick roll call to determine quorum. Councilor Baumgartner, Evers is absent. Ferguson,
Here.
I am here. Mr. Howard, here. We do have a quorum. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll begin here with a public forum. This is the time in the meeting where we encourage the public to address council. We ask if you address council that you state your name for the record. Time is limited to 3 minutes. If further discovery needs to happen afterwards, we'll direct staff to work with the individual on that. So if anybody is here from the council on issues outside of the discussion items here, now is your time to address council. Not seeing any, so we'll move forward here with the setting of the agenda. So we've had the agenda here, the consent agenda. We'll take a look, see if anything from the consent agenda needs to be moved into a discussion item.
Yes.
Okay,
D, E, F, and G.
they'll just turn into D, E, F, and G in the discussion items then.
Okay.
Assuming the agenda gets set as amended. I'll call for a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So make the motion.
Got a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Baumgartner, seconded by Howard to approve the adjusted agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Okay.
All opposed, same sign. Or amended agenda has been approved. Moving down to the consent agenda, it contains meeting minutes from March 17, work session meetings from March 17, a resolution for step movement for Officer Klaus, Sergeant Klaus. Resolution 29, accepting a quote for concrete work. Resolution 30, accepting a quote for liner steel. The assignment and assumption of warranties, a lease termination agreement between the city of Olivia and Olivia Chrysler Center. Lease agreement between OCC Holdings LCC and the city of Olivia. Resolution 31, approving the termination of the current lease with Olivia Chrysler and execution of a new lease. Resolution 32, authorizing incentive for public to complete water survey. Mayoral appointment to Melissa Sweeter to the Park and Rec Board. Marcus Construction change order number 9 and March disbursements. Call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Baumgartner, seconded by Ferguson to approve the amended consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Okay.
All opposed, same sign. Amended consent agenda is approved. So we'll go down to the discussion items here. We have Aaron here representing the Boy Scouts to present on the Veterans Memorial Edition that he is planning for Kubesh Park. Come on up, Aaron, and take a seat. Let us know what you have going on. Do you have some stuff that we should pass out or? There you go. Cool. All right, so Aaron approached us couple weeks back to talk about, we have that wonderful memorial at Kubesh Park that has that walkway that kind of runs east and west. And when this project has always kind of been a multi-phase project, and it sounds like they're ready to move forward on the next phase, which incorporates kind of an intersecting like north-south path. Is that right?
Correct.
All right, so just kind of curious, how's the project coming along?
Doing pretty good. I've raised about $36,000 so far.
That's wonderful. How many papers would that be?
By 102.
Okay, So 102 pavers and are you guys are still currently selling pavers if the public is interested?
Commission ended yesterday.
Oh, okay, well, so the pavers have been ordered basically, and when can we look forward to some construction on the project?
My groundbreaking will be May sixth at 7 a.m.
Okay,
and my dedication will be Memorial Day of this year.
all right.
On the Legion's Memorial Day service.
Okay, very good. So I think the plan for the Memorial Day service is to have it actually at the Armory this year, so after that, we'll be able to all follow you guys out to the memorial and have your dedication, so. You say May sixth at 7 a.m. is groundbreaking, is this gonna be a ceremony thing where you encourage the public to come?
Yeah.
Okay. How long do you suppose the project will take?
My project will take most of the time till May.
Okay.
Memorial Day.
Okay, perfect. Do you need anything from the council at this point?
Give you an update on what it'll be.
Yeah, please do.
It'll be the same length and width as my road downs. Plan I had thus far is to add more pavers, replacing 4 benches on the south side. My vision. I also have some details that I would like to keep a secret until my unveiling on Memorial Day.
Teaser.
I know, you have me.
So you're gonna put the
Gotta be there to see.
4 benches in that circle
Yes.
on the south side?
Yes.
Okay.
Last part of my project that I decided to do is make a binder that I can present to the city containing all the information for the police memorial. Including a list of each paver for all donors and veterans. Where the flowers came from, a map of which flower is what. Who does the lighting, where the concrete came from. And of course, the company that has done all the granite work and grading for both projects. This way, it'll be an easy reference for the city to look at and get information about the memorial. The binder will include name, email, and phone number for each company.
Well, wonderful. Well, we appreciate all your hard work on this, Aaron, and I look forward to attending the groundbreaking on May sixth at 7 a.m. We'll invite the public to attend as well. It's a really just a wonderful addition to our city park and just a really nice way to memorialize our veteran population in town here that we absolutely do cherish. They are the most public-minded people we have in our community, and they definitely do deserve a memorial that's as nice as the one you're making. So, thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Okay, next up on the discussion and business items is an item concerning the House of Hope. So we have some representatives from the House of Hope here.
Yeah.
You can pull chairs up, or I suppose you're already kind of up front, you can probably speak from there too.
Okay.
But if you could just identify
You
yourself.
can't see them in the camera,
Oh,
so
I'm
it would
sorry.
be
Okay.
preferable if you
You
come
guys have
up
to
to
be
the
in,
table a little bit.
if you could identify yourself for the meeting record, we would appreciate it.
I'm Janine Kramer, the director of House of Hope.
I'm Becky Janish, I'm the treasurer for the household.
Wendell Gary, one of the board members for the household.
And Gary Van Epps, one of the board members for the House of Hope.
All right, thank you guys for joining us. I know we have been taking a look at that property and want to have some conversations about the property moving forward. And just want to kind of hear out what you guys have for plans for the property.
Well, like we were saying in the letter, we'd like to extend the lease for at least another year so that, you know, whatever you decide, I mean, we're kind of on the end of wanting to know, you know, what you're looking at, if you're gonna continue to lease or if you're going to be selling the property. the House, about the House of Hope, I thought it would be a good idea to write a
Yeah.
letter and get you a little bit more affiliated with it and what we do and how we serve in the community.
Yeah, please share that, yeah.
Yeah, so we serve women who come out of difficult life situations, so such as alcohol, chemical dependency, homelessness, divorce, incarceration, so they come out of prisons and stuff. We serve them, we help them with life skills, helping them find jobs, which a lot of them do in the community, find jobs, and just to kind of start over from, you know, because they've had a rough time getting back on their feet. So we help them with all those skills and give them a place to stay until they transition back into the community.
Sure.
So, they do a lot of volunteering in the community.
Definitely seen them around, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Thank you, Janine.
Yeah.
So what kind of are the choices or the options that we have as a council are looking at?
Yeah,
The
so the current lease for the House of Hope began November 1st, 2020 and runs through November 1st, 2025. It's written in the lease that it will automatically renew from year to year thereafter unless and until terminated. Either party may terminate the lease after the initial term by giving the other party 3 months notice in writing. Currently you have a couple of different options. You can just let this keep going. Don't change any terms of the lease. You could look at changing some of the terms of the lease if you wanted to, and then we can make some additions to the lease and then we could still rent. If you wanted to change some terms, or if you wanted to, it was discussed at a budget work session when we were reviewing the list of city-owned properties. It was reviewed as maybe this one to be looked at as a city-owned property that you all might be interested in selling. That of course has a lot more hoops to jump through if that's what you are interested in. There would need to be a survey, we would need to parcel off just the portion with the house and the garage, because a lot of that currently owned city-owned parcel is within the safety zone of the airport. The entire land acquisition was the result of a grant done with the city in 2016, so there is a relationship with the state, so the state would receive some of those profits as well from the sale of a small parcel. And then that parcel would return back to the tax rolls. So that there are a number of different options to explore, and since the lease is up November 1st, 2025, I figured talking about this in April as opposed to waiting until July was a good point to kick off the discussions.
Sure. You also wanna address any questions or anything?
So the area where the house and the garage is outside.
It's outside of the
Well,
safety
it's
zone,
there.
correct?
Okay. And then, so if we were to sell, is there a certain amount of time that we have to be in control of the property before since it's a grant, is it like, do we have to have it 10 years or 20
There
years?
was
before we have
none
to
of that
return the money?
stipulation when I talked to Brian about it, or MnDOT contact about how long we'd have to hold on to it. It was just that the state and the city split that grant cost 90-10. And I need clarification from the state and whether that's 90% of all sales or whether it's capped at the amount that the state gave to the city for the grant. And we just pay off the grant, pay back the grant. So I still have to work with MnDOT on what that would look like.
So that grant, as of right now, is it forever have to pay back
It's a 90-10, yes,
grant? Okay.
if we sell it.
And then, is there a reason that we need to sell, or would it be okay to just keep going with the lease?
You can absolutely keep
Sorry.
going with the lease, there's not a reason you need to sell, this was just, again, when we reviewed those city-owned properties at the budget work session. It was mentioned to look at all the options when the lease came up, so totally in your court on what you all would like to do. The rent has stayed static since 2020. I would advocate for increasing it. It's in the lease agreement, the rent is $450 per month. And it's been that way since 2020.
In general, I am in favor of selling properties from the city. I don't want the city to own so many properties around if that's. I mean, that's just my general disposition. We also don't need to spring it on, it sounds like we don't even know if we were to sell, what we would get out of a sale,
Correct.
right? So, I mean, I'm in favor of extending the lease for another year, looking at what's fair for rent and comparable. And moving forward that way for another year while we figure out a sale. So perhaps in another year, looking at a sale of the property. That would be my initial position.
As much as I agree with Matt, normally on the city-owned properties, a situation like this one, I think is beneficial to the community in the fact that we are putting people that have been in situations where I'm not in favor of a handout. I'm very much in favor of a hand up. And when we have people in our community that truly need a hand up, sometimes it takes the community to be able to offer that hand up to get these folks back on their feet, get them back as productive members of society and back as valued members of the community, whether it be via work or volunteerism or whatnot like that. I would be 100% in favor of this lease being extended for further than a year. If we could come to a, we could investigate the rent, and if it needs to be bumped, then, that's a conversation, but this is something that I personally feel that is necessary for a small community like ours to be able to help those people that need a hand up.
Well, I guess I thought in the sale, you guys would consider buying it and continue operating it, is that right?
Are you in a position to do something like that?
Right now.
Not right
No.
now,
Not at this
given,
moment, yeah.
no. But given,
Sometimes.
it's sometime if we would look towards that.
I guess the direction and some time that we could start looking. Because our fundraisers, we do a fundraiser coming up soon, and if people know about what we'd have to do, people may start giving, but currently the economic instability that we have, I think we have to be very careful with our funding. Hungry
I
tonight.
need to eat something.
I'm so sorry, everybody.
That's-
That's my stomach, yes, I haven't eaten all day. I'm sorry, I worked all
But
day.
anyway, in the economic situation we're in, I don't, that's always gonna be a challenge for us. I think the important thing that Janine talked about is many of our ladies work at jobs that probably wouldn't otherwise have jobs in our community.
Sure.
And I appreciate what you said about a handout, because most of the people that are there struggled. And I think they've been very good, we've been very good citizens of this community. Tried to do the best to keep the property up and have volunteers to help do that, so I think it's been a positive thing for. That's good.
That's fine.
And we get a lots of donations from the community, I mean, it's, and the surrounding communities, they give us a lot of donations, I mean, both, monetary and, for what the girls need or what the women need in the house, so.
I think as a commitment to the community, we also, we keep our costs really low, as much as we can. Janine has probably lived out there for the most of the last year that we've operated, and now we're trying to get some staffing so that we can relieve her, so we don't burn her out. And to keep her going and to keep the stream alive.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of volunteer work, minimal staff coverage, and so we're trying to keep the costs very low, so adding a house payment, depending if we have enough time, could be a challenge.
Sure.
And I don't think the city would wanna ever do a lease to own kind of thing, cause that would, I don't know that they would ever wanna do something like that.
Which is a great opening to my next question. This question is for Pamela. If you don't mind jumping in here. Is it possible to sell directly to them, or because we're a city, do we need to offer it to everybody to buy? How would that work? Would that even be an option to sell directly to them? Or would,
selling on a contract, cities can purchase on a contract for deed, they can't sell on a contract for deed. And so we can negotiate the best price, but we can look into that a little bit more. The one thing that we had talked about too is that if there wants to be a continuation, we can amend the lease to continue the lease and do an option for them to purchase before the
House
lease
hits
is
the market.
done.
Okay. Well, I think for the first most important step, it sounds like we're pretty well all in alignment that maybe we direct staff to work with the House of Hope to come up with another 12 months of a rental rate that's appropriate, I guess, for the city, you know, the people, the community who owns the house, and also the House of Hope. Is that's on
So a 12-month extension.
right?
With a new rate
From
Yeah.
November,
Something that's
from November.
so November 2026.
November 1st, 2025, if you wanted it to extend 12 months would be then until November 1st, 2026.
You good with that?
Does that give you enough time to investigate grant options or whatever would help you in that? In the possibility of purchasing this?
I would say as long as we're just, so we can have some options and we could come back with some possibilities of what we could have, but with the openness of maybe we could lease another year depending upon, again, the economic times that we're in and grants that are somewhat limited.
No, there's not many right now, is there anymore? Yeah,
would we.
that time.
I suppose we could write it into the lease that the lease could be terminated at a point where the leasee made an appropriate proposal to purchase. Is that something we could do?
Well, that's what I had referenced in that if we can have a provision in there for,
If they want to early terminate and buy?
looks like my picture froze, so hopefully you can still hear me.
You can see, yeah.
Yeah, we can
Still
see.
there.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah, so you can do it, you know, there's a termination provision in there, I believe now, right? 30 days, is that correct,
Yes.
Elizabeth? I haven't seen the agreement.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can amend that to keep that in there and then also have some other provisions as well as far as, if there wants to be, a sale. And then we can also include, if it makes the House of Hope more comfortable, that they get the first option if the council decides to give notice so that they can sell the property, that the House of Hope would have the first option to be able to purchase it.
Yeah, I think it probably aligns with what the council has been
Yeah.
saying here.
Would the rate be a market price or would it be an appraised price?
MnDOT requires an appraisal, at least for the first step, so we would have to have that discussion, at that time. Typically, council does go under closed session to discuss price.
How long are the appraisals valid?
I am not sure.
They
I don't
might
know that
expire,
answer.
right?
Well,
I'm
and if
not
the
sure.
council is comfortable with it, I mean, we could put in there that at the time of the decision to purchase, if they exercise that option, that the councils would be willing to sell it for the appraised price of the appraiser. I mean, but that's something that you as a council should talk about and really think about.
Yeah, we could, Elizabeth, we can do that. They're different. I mean, you're a couple years out, so. But for right now, yeah, extending that lease another year.
Mhm.
At an amended rate that we can discuss.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving down to the next discussion item. Item C has to do with the armory. First of all, we'll take a look at some rules and regulations, just a very basic and foundational concept building here. Allow the audience.
Thought we were gonna have to bring out more chairs for a second. Yes, so.
Good discussion.
Very good discussion. Staff have worked, we've relied on Pam, who sent us some draft documents for rules and regulations. We also reached out, we've got some resources from the League of Minnesota Cities. So this is kind of what we have amended for our rules and regulations to start for the Armory or Community Center. We are already getting people who are reaching out to us, inquiring about reserving it, using it, which is really exciting. We do have a page on our website for the Armory where people can submit their inquiries to say, hey, I wanna know if it's available for this date. So we've started laying the framework for this to be used and utilized. Of course, though, we need those regulations and fees to discuss. So we've put this together, we've customized it. A couple of things that I'll highlight, of course, if you all have questions, let me know. The security deposit, so we have two different security deposits listed here, $250 if with the application, if no alcohol is served at the event. $500 if there is alcohol at the event, just in the chance that, you know, people get a little bit rowdier with events with alcohol. So of course, if the building is returned in great condition, they get that security deposit back. That's entirely refundable. For the rental fee, I pivoted a little bit from our previous discussion to start out with 2025. Just because we're still trying to figure out what interest people have in what spaces. To go with flat fees for events either under 50 people or over 50 people. So the proposed flat fee for a 4-hour, this includes kind of setup and cleanup. So for an event under 50 people would be $100, $25 for each additional hour after that. And then you have the cleaning fee at $50 and then a flat fee for 4 hours for an event over 50 people would be $200, start at $200. Or $50 for each additional hour, and then the cleaning fee would be $100. The use of the kitchen would be a $50 additional charge if people needed the kitchen use. One thing to add here that I don't have is we do have a couple of sporting groups reaching out and who are really just interested in gym space. They're not interested in necessarily doing like a big fancy event. They really wanna come into a gym, turn on the lights and use it for an hour a week, 2 hours a week. So we don't have in here kind of just a plain gym, no frills, no nothing extra. We're not providing this group with tables, with chairs, with anything.
Gym and bathroom.
Gym and bathroom, that's it. So we haven't discussed if whether we want that to be a flat rate of $25, or if we want to give them flexibility that says you come in 5 times in the month, that's $100. We haven't discussed what we want that. So I'd be interested to hear your all thoughts for those people who really just wanna unlock the door, come in, turn on a light, maybe use a bathroom for the gym and then leave.
First question I have in that regard is, can we secure it so it's just the gym so that they can't get into other areas?
Yeah, we are working on that. I met this morning with a locksmith. Torkelson locksmith, if you wanna know, no actual family relation, there was apparently in the 80s. But not anymore, he bought the business, so we did get a quote for punching out, all the locks are actually punched out, we only have an external door key, everything else is open. So we are working on securing the building, and that was my request to him, is that we wanna hand over a key that just opens the gym and the front door, and that everything else can be locked. So we are working on getting that as a accessible system.
So the layout of the building would. The only. With all these locks in place, the hallways would be the only accessible areas, you know, the gym. The bathrooms, all the office rooms and the mess hall, the kitchen, those are all locked up separate.
Yes.
You know, the garage.
Then it makes sense to consider a gym rate.
Mhm.
I don't know where to start with that, though. I don't know what is a good rate.
Great,
I have had
and
people inquire, there are people that are interested in being able to do something like a CrossFit
Class.
class.
Yeah.
here, you know, multiple times a month. But that would require, lockers if they were to get a,
Oh, we had
Rolling.
lots of lockers.
well, and whether it be locker, you know, a locker for them to be able to keep their gear in that they would need for
Yeah.
CrossFit, or whether it was, you know, rolling lockers or something of that sort where, yeah, it's gonna get pushed into a corner of the gym so that it's not in the way for other people.
There's some storage spaces that perhaps could be unlocked and just, you know, use at your own risk, padlock your locker situation maybe,
And then rent it out,
or we could rent the lockers out.
Yeah,
I would
so
rent them out.
one of the things I have discussed just very casually with Just for Kicks is, you know, they're currently using the space, they're using the space until the end of their lease with the state, which is the first week of May. And how they have been operating is they just leave their stuff in the rooms because that's how there hasn't been a lot of interest. They understand that moving forward, that won't happen. There are different storage closets that for the groups that want more of a long-term lease option, like we are here once a week for 8 months. We'll work out those lease agreements separately. We'll make sure Pam's involved with all those specifications. But that can include, or there can be an option of a storage space, a lockable storage space to keep their equipment on site.
That they would have to rent.
That they would,
On a
that would,
monthly
yeah,
basis,
that would be included
Because the
in
thing
a
is
thing.
that then what if, you know, somebody else wants it, you
Mhm.
gotta be fair, if you're gonna
Yeah.
let one person use the lockers, you gotta let everybody use the lockers, that way if you have a rent.
Yep.
Amount, then it's like, sure, you can do the same thing they're doing, this is.
For storage, yeah.
They left all
A
those
rental
lockers.
fee for storage.
Yeah.
They left all the lockers. We have a couple of uses for them in certain city buildings that need some lockers, but they did leave like at least 30-50 lockers. So yeah, I have a couple of thoughts on where these different groups, like a CrossFit group or something, could have a secure storage area for their equipment. They would still have to pull it out, set it up, but it could be there on site. I know our own pool coordinator has a lot of her CPR things that don't have space anymore, and we certainly wanna continue offering those type of CPR trainings resources for the city. So figuring out what that looks like, yeah. But going back to the original point about a flat gym fee, where again, no storage space, you get a key to open the front door, you get a key to open the gym. The bathrooms are already unlocked. I don't know if we wanna start it just $20 a time, if we wanna start it lower than that, see what happens.
For an hour?
I would say for the evening,
Is there
We could
gonna
do
be
four.
limitations? Cause what if somebody's having a wedding on a Friday night, but somebody wants to rent the gym for an hour?
I would
You're
say
gonna
we
lose
only
out.
do one event at a time.
So if somebody is gonna do let's say they're walking on, in the middle of winter, they're gonna open it up from 8 to 9 on a
Mhm.
Friday, then you took up that entire evening of rental for the $20.
Yeah, well, we
Gym
can, we
space.
could limit it and we could say the gym is only available for rent Monday through Thursday. Or you have to be out at a specific time on Friday to accommodate a Friday evening event.
Yeah.
We could do that.
I'm just thinking, it brings more income.
Yeah, no,
Not that it
absolutely.
matters,
And with the-
Absolutely.
I mean, with the walkers, if you were to, and that is a good option for this, that has been one that has been approached multiple times, if you were looking at the walkers to get them in. Either earlier in the day, because let's face it, a lot of the ones that would use that are. Fortunate enough to be retired, so they're not necessarily on a clock like the rest of us, where. I need to be able to get in there at 6 o'clock at night to walk because I've had to work all day. So those options I think would be reasonable to get them in, and let's face it, a lot of them would rather be home once the sun goes down than to be out anywhere, even if it is in town.
And this is again, I wanna like preface all of the Armory discussion with saying, I think we should really consider 2025 our pilot year.
Yep.
Let's see what
Be a
works.
learning year.
And then let's see what adjustments we're gonna need to make when we start again in 2026. This is not we're setting these policies and we're never looking at them again. This is our starting point. Let's see our feedback we get, let's see what use we get, and let's see what adjustments may need to be made. I think the recommendation that we limit gym rentals Monday through Thursday, or if they reserve it on a Friday or Saturday, they recognize that they could get bumped for a bigger event. Like we have those just very open discussions with those people who are interested in renting the space.
Yeah, no matter what we do, it's not gonna be perfect. But I think this is a good start.
So,
Yeah, I do think it's fair to bump it. If there's a larger event that's gonna pay more for it.
Yeah, if somebody's wanting it for an hour just to
Yeah,
walk versus a
A wedding,
quinceañera or a wedding or.
we don't
whatever.
really have anywhere to have
Yeah, we
them.
don't have anything locally to. And
and
hopefully.
I feel like that could happen any day of the week. If there's a larger event that's gonna pay more than
Mhm.
A banquet.
the higher paying rent gets precedent.
Well, the thing-
Hopefully, if we have a schedule where the community is able to see the nights that they're looking to use it. And see what is on there and then, conversation with staff to be able to say. Hey, is there a possibility of you bumping your event one day or the other because we do have something else that's coming in?
Mhm.
It leaves the opportunity there.
Yeah, I like Elizabeth's idea of no gym rentals, like, say after 5 on a Friday until, you know.
and I mean, we can have if somebody wants to come and say, hey, I wanna host like a all weekend tournament. And we're gonna pay to use it
Yeah,
all
the
day, Friday,
rental fees,
Saturday,
yeah.
Sunday. Wonderful, we wanna be
Yeah.
open for those things, but if we're just looking for these 1 hour, 2 hours, I wanna
Pick
rent
up
it to
basketball.
like. Yeah, throw a ball in a hoop, clearly I don't play basketball, but like that, they should have the option to do that.
That's my level of basketball education as well, I totally got you, thank you.
Come on, the NCAA tournament is on right now.
I know,
You gotta
we
have a
do have
little
March
more
Madness
confidence.
fun event, I'm being cautious with what I'm saying, a fun event happening with the staff level, so.
Is everybody cool with these,
So are we thinking, yeah, is everybody okay with the currently proposed flat fees? And then do we want to try a gym rental for? I don't know, $10 an hour? See if we get interest in that, $15 an hour? I wanna make sure I'm not,
pricing us out?
I'm not pricing us out. They haven't necessarily had to pay for these one-off gym events in the past, so I'm trying to strike the fine balance. And if we get it low, maybe we'll get more people in there to use it, and then we can.
What about clauses to the rentals?
What about
For example,
clauses
if
to the
you're doing a gym event where you're charging, it no longer is just a gym event.
I think we have in the rules and
Is it like a
regulations that you
walk-in
can't
thing?
charge for your event if you're reserving it.
Okay,
You can't like take collections at the door.
Wow.
Yeah,
We wanna be able to do that,
Heck,
Yeah.
okay,
yeah,
Absolutely.
cut us in.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
cut the city in.
depending on
The
what,
user may not charge an admission fee, sell tickets or solicit donations at the armory without the express written permission of the
from
city.
us.
Well, I guess.
Keep it like that, but I think then
Right.
we get the option. To
yeah, cause
say
what if someone
10%.
wants to host a dance there?
Or open
And
up a
sell
roller
tickets.
store.
Or, yeah, roller
Yeah,
skins,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry, Howie, but you missed the glory days here in the lake.
Yeah, no, Adam actually.
I stated my, yeah,
I missed the glory days too, I did, I.
Well, I mean, now is the glory days, but I mean.
That's true.
The former,
Yeah.
We have an arcade now.
We haven't, yeah, that's true, we haven't done a roller.
Pretty fun.
I-
So going back to a flat gym fee,
Yeah, let's start at,
We
should we
keep
start
Us
at,
on track.
we keep talking around it.
should we start at $15 an hour then for those smaller things? For
If-
some guys playing pick up basketball, $15 an hour?
Yeah, I think, let's see what happens.
I
with
mean,
that.
you gotta have how many players?
That's a marketable
It's $1
rate.
for each of them.
You know?
Don't you need so many players for basketball?
5-on-5
At least
usually,
more than two.
So.
So 10.
15's not bad.
So
You
that's
can do
less than
one-on-one,
$2 a
that's
person.
$7.50 for an hour,
yeah.
of entertainment.
Indoor gym hour.
I don't know.
Well, just get more people to join your thing and donate.
Again, it's a starting point,
Yep,
Yeah,
that's good.
If it's being filled all the time, you know, either
Then you raise the
got a good
rates,
price or
but,
we raise it
yeah,
up a little
yeah.
bit.
So
It might
what,
be,
you wanna do 10,
The fee schedule comes up.
We can
in
try 15.
January.
15?
Yeah, I would say that the 15 shouldn't be too painful for anybody really.
No,
It's a good starting point and we'll, like you say, we'll gauge it and see what it looks like in 6 months.
you get 15 retired people coming in at the same time, it's just $1.
It's $1 a piece. They can sit there for an hour and play cards and drink coffee and whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever people do when they're retired, I have got to figure that out.
Whatever
mean,
they
for
want.
that
No,
gym
they
only
do
use-
whatever
It's
they
all
want.
me.
I feel like retired people probably won't be playing cards for an hour in the gym. Do you want that to extend to the gym or the mess hall? So that way you could have one group from 8 to 9 walking in the gym and another group from 8 to 9 playing cards in the mess hall.
well, you gotta unlock that room, that's in the other room, I mean, it should be. I think it,
Per room.
yeah, per room.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree.
okay.
And we could put out a suggestion box too, maybe other people have better ideas on how to do this too, yeah.
No
And
renting.
cleaning fee,
Yeah, right.
you're not
That'll be
going
one
to
of the first
charge.
suggestions.
Cleaning fee.
And
for
I'm-
one hour, and
Yeah,
that's
but-
an hour.
I'm okay with it.
My goodness, that.
Yeah.
That's part of the agreement.
I'm excited, 2020.
Alright. We have for these larger events that if you cancel less than 14 days in advance. The city keeps 50% of the rental fee, particularly because if you've planned something, you've taken that day, particularly a really nice Friday or Saturday out of the mix. So. You should be a little bit penalized for that.
Mhm.
We are working with our building inspector to confirm maximum capacities of all the spaces so that we can make sure we are within code and fire capacity. The alcohol policy, so Jasmine reached out to our liquor folks at the state. We cannot limit vendor choice. So people do have other options other than OLS for their liquor needs at the Armory. We tried, but that one did not pass muster.
Why don't we just put that option up front in the lease, like,
Yes.
if you need this.
Yeah, I mean, we will certainly advocate and say, do you know that the Olivia Liquor Store, part of the city of Olivia, is a viable option for your alcohol needs. But we can't require their exclusive use.
So we have a variety of different discounts that are offered during the week, Wine Wednesday and stuff. Military on Thursdays, is there something that we could write into that to maybe encourage them? If you do purchase your liquor through OLS, it's a 10% discount.
I can inquire,
Is that something that we could?
I can inquire with Nanette about what that could look
Yeah.
like.
I mean, it could end up being significant if somebody is able to do a 10% here versus pulling somebody else's commerce from another community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
it's
it
not,
could be volume based too, like bigger discounts for bigger volumes.
Yeah,
it's not free to drive to Wilmer and get a bunch of beer either.
Elizabeth,
Yeah,
as far, under paragraph 20 with your alcohol policy, because we have municipal liquor, they would also need the city, 1-day event or, there's
Event pass.
provisions in our liquor license for, city permitting too.
yes.
also they would have to,
Get an outside license.
They would have to get a catering license.
You wouldn't,
They couldn't get one, they would have to get just a 1-day temporary license.
1-day temporary license.
Yeah.
they wouldn't be able to, so. They would not be able to go to a big liquor store, grab a bunch of beer and bring it. That wouldn't be able to be done unless they got the license and insurance. Which would end up costing them a lot more than just having, cause the city of Olivia already carries that insurance and that license. Am I correct, Pam?
Not for independent special events, so we would want to make sure that they take out they provide us with a liquor liability policy that we are an additional insured under for their
The first
event.
bullet point there.
But in addition to being the proper state licensure, anything that the city would be involved in for those 1-day permits, then that would also need to be added to that language.
We can add that.
Would they be able to, they wouldn't be able to sell liquor there at the event, would they?
Any business that is serving or selling must hold the proper state licensure.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Okay, but that's
What if you're not selling it?
exactly.
What if you're just buying some cakes?
I think you're okay.
But we would still require, like,
Liability.
they used to be, LMCIT used to call it tulip insurance. They call it something else now, but we would have an agreement for an event agreement. My recommendation would be we would draft an event agreement, and as part of that, we would require that type of user liability insurance, and particularly with alcohol. And make sure that they have the proper licensure for serving. If they're just serving and not selling, that would be catering. If it's an event that would meet the 1-day events that the city would need to license for or permit as well, we should have that into the agreement and all of those parameters.
We have a draft of the rental agreement next, Pam. Great segue.
But does that answer the questions?
Does that answer your questions?
So either way, they have to get the insurance.
Yeah.
No matter.
These would also be adjustable if we found them to be too or not restrictive enough.
I would recommend that we get require them to provide insurance. I mean, legally, do they have to? No, but it's a cover for the city. If they're using our facilities and serving alcohol and somebody gets hurt, we're gonna get dragged into that lawsuit as well. Or someone leaves that from being overserved and there's an accident, guess who else is gonna get joined into that lawsuit? We will. So just having that extra insurance coverage will help with those potential liability issues.
If I remember right, it's not too difficult of a process or expensive of a process to get a rider on this on your insurance.
Yeah, so you can, lots of times your home insurance, there's capabilities to get it under your home insurance. Or like I said, the league offers a third party, like I said before, they call it tulips, so tenant and user liability insurance. And so that's available through the league too. They're pretty easy to find.
Can the city help with that?
Yeah, the city can point them in the direction of the league. You had pulled up that third party one that we can say, if you are struggling to find this, here's a resource for you to utilize to get what you need to be insured for your event.
What I'm thinking is if there's a way like to say, if you're gonna use the Olivia Liquor Store, we'll help you with the process of getting the insurance and all that and just give you the bill essentially. Otherwise, it's up to you to do it all. You know what I mean? Then it sways me personally. I'd be like, oh, if you're gonna do the paperwork, I'll stay right here. You know what I mean? Like just.
Yeah, if you're going to lead me to this water, I will definitely drink.
Yes,
Now,
exactly.
I pay one fee and I've got
Insurance,
everything covered.
yeah.
And all I have to do for that is pay this bill and get my booze from over here.
Yeah, I hear what all of you are saying. I don't know how much administrative work that actually is to take on. At this time, I'd have to like go through the process. It's called Gather Guard Event Liability Insurance through the league. We could certainly provide them with the resources for this resource to see if they fill out. It doesn't look like it's gonna be too strenuous. I would hesitate though to say city staff should fill it out for them, because I believe it involves their information and not necessarily the city's information.
Will not fill it out for them, but with them. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
we could
Like,
certainly be a
we have
resource if
this-
they have questions.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you make it a little bit easier, even just a little bit easier,
Mhm.
most people will take that option. Like, if you're gonna go with the Olivia Liquor Store, we'll help you out with this application, not do it for you. Help you out with it
Yeah,
and
have
in the
to.
process, cause they are also paying to rent the building. If you think that a city employee is probably gonna take an hour extra to do this, then maybe increase the rent, and you know what I mean, to cover
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah. And this is something we really won't know time wise and things like that until we get into it, so we'll certainly do our best to help. And we'll work with the League of Minnesota Cities to see if they have any other like tips or tricks for going through Gather Guard and how we could be a resource.
Yeah, and just test the water, and if it looks like it's something we could easily help with, we can just go ahead and, but if it looks like it's something that's very encompassing and we have to add a bunch of administrative fees into a rental agreement, then we can go that route as well.
Yeah.
Cause we don't know totally what we're getting into.
Right, yeah.
We're all gonna tackle it together. Any other questions about the policy before we move into the rental application? So this is just a draft of the Armory rental agreement, again, took some examples that we had already found, particularly the League of Minnesota Cities. To talk about the Armory, how to rent it, it talks about the term, it talks about the rent people agree to pay, the security deposit, we have fill-in. We can have whether or not we do or do not authorize food, will or will not have alcohol. The city reserves the right to prohibit the serving or sale of alcohol. And it's subject to those rules and regulations that we just reviewed. We can talk about the entertainment, so they're gonna have to tell us what type of entertainment, whether or not we agree.
I wonder if we shouldn't have a higher security deposit for events with food or alcohol.
So alcohol, we've upped it to 500.
Yeah. Food, I'm thinking of the mess that food can make, and then you got more cleanup.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
the cleaning fee.
We could
You
change,
don't
that. We do
clean it
have a
yourself, you
cleaning
get
fee
paid.
for small events or large events. We could though adjust the security deposit to $500 food or alcohol. But I mean, that's if the food is a mess, they don't get that security deposit back, plus they do have the cleaning fee on top of it.
Cleaning fee, so like, just to clarify, and so cleaning fee, because you're gonna clean it for them, or cleaning fee that gets returned if it's spotless when you get there in the morning?
We'll probably still have to employ cleaners for that building, so these would help go towards cleaning and maintaining.
So then the city will clean up that kitchen.
I mean, they still need to, you're still supposed to leave it clean as you left it, but you're still gonna have. You're still gonna have
The clawback
cleaning
from the
associated with
security
every
deposit,
event,
A big mess.
yeah, you're still gonna have to have cleaning associated with every event. For sweeping and vacuuming and everything like that. Especially if these are large events for over 50 people. So,
If there's a huge amount of work to be done and they leave it dirty, I mean, the cleaning fee is
That's the
that per
deposit.
hour or?
That's the deposit.
it's just a flat
just a
fee
flat fee?
at this time, but that's also your
Yep.
security deposit.
Yeah, and you have the deposit there, so if somebody takes 3 hours to clean it and they charged you, there goes the
Right.
money.
But I mean, if you've got an event of 200 people, I could see it being more than $500 in cleaning. So I mean, $100 an hour is not a crazy rate.
And we'll have to see, we might have to adjust it from time to time. My hope is that our residents will take pride in this new city asset to help leave it clean or in better shape than they found it. And that's also the point that if somebody does a really bad job with the armory, we not only keep the security deposit, we say, sorry, you can't rent from us again. And we have that discretion to say, nope, you were a bad actor, we're not doing it again, we're not, it's not available.
Well, I guess maybe just some language with the cleaning fee that says, something to the effect of. If you leave a giant mess for us to clean up, we will charge you more.
Well, that's
We'll send
in
you a
the
bill.
security deposit.
Well, if it's above and beyond security deposit, you'll be getting a bill. I mean,
Just
it's a
leave it
deterrent,
open-ended,
really is
yeah,
what it is.
right, yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking about like. He says, everybody always leaves it spotless.
Yeah.
Like,
And then there's no problem,
right,
but if somebody is a jackwagon, then we at least have something in there where we can go after them a little bit for money.
Anything else you would like to see?
No, no.
Yeah, let's see what else happens now, there'll be something.
This is all good feedback, I'll make my adjustments, we'll have Pam do the final. You know, red pen on any changes that she might have, and then we can officially. Adopt at the next meeting. And then again, if we need to change for 2026, these are documents we can change again.
So I'm curious what, Mr. Mayor, Council, if, after approval of this generally, this agreement generally, if we can do a resolution that, you delegate the authority for staff to be able to execute these based on, without changing the terms or within a limited amount of changing the terms. So that these agreements don't have to come in front of you every time for the mayor and the clerk to sign.
For each rental,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
each rental agreement,
Right.
if we're just filling in the blanks of the rental agreement and we're not changing the substance. If you're comfortable with staff approving them, or if you as council would like to see every single rental agreement before it's approved.
I wanna see every, no.
I don't wanna have to, if you, I mean, I trust staff to make a good decision on that, but for the first couple, I'd like to see them anyway.
yeah, I would agree with that, just because I wanna see.
Yeah.
I wanna be able to be a voice for this as well, as much as I'm able to, so if I see that. You know, an event is happening that is open to the public, if I can be an additional voice of advertisement for this. I want to be, and to give. Some people an idea, yes, this is why we've got all the additional traffic in front of the armory, these are the things. Here's the new contract, look it up online and take a look at it, and yes, your event is able to be there because, look.
Yeah. I mean, that could-
Baumgartner's
that
just
could-
did a family reunion at the place and there's 1,000 of them. in
That could be a
there.
staff report section 2, where the staff report includes, you know, update on the armory, a look ahead to what's happening, so that could also be part of that. Is that what you're looking for, Pam?
But yeah, I just think that especially with some of the potential tenants and potential users, they might not want to have to wait for the council to actually approve their agreement. And if it's just if the council's comfortable with the template and we get all these things that we talked about tonight figured out and in front of you the next time for the template agreement, and then we can do a resolution that council directs staff to be able to using the template to be able to administratively execute that on behalf of council. We can also put in there if there's significant changes, then staff would need to bring whatever significantly changes the terms in front of council. And then with the part of the resolution that staff will put at the next council meeting, will report back all this, all the signed agreements. It
Yeah,
just,
she brings up a good point, cause I know it says that, we shall contact the city 14 days before the event, but. Really, you wanna know pretty well immediately whether or not you can have the event.
If the day is open, I am 100% behind not going over the applications. But also if the terms are changed, I do wanna be updated about.
Yeah.
The terms themselves, whoever applies, I don't know that I would want my name blasted in the middle of a council meeting if I'm having, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they do, like, how he says, want a mention in the city to say, hey, this is going on, it could be down in the notices and communications, they could ask for that to be added and.
We can mention a private event, like we can just mention a personal event, private event is happening. Friday
Yeah,
or something.
but yeah, I'm
Right.
We don't
beyond
necessarily
that,
have to broadcast whose wedding, whose quinceanera, whose family
Right.
reunion, we can just mention that it's being used.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine not having to approve them.
They're leaving that to staff. I'm good with that. I trust you.
Well, I
And
think
this-
that the best way to accomplish some of those, so you're not coming back a lot with different terms, is to maybe as part of our fee schedule, just have whatever the council agrees on for some of these different rents, with respect to the gym and with respect to the other parts of the building. And have that set forth in our fee schedule. So then staff can just go look at the fee schedule, fill in the actual rent amount or the security deposit amount. So from a council perspective that none of the numbers are being played with or favoritism isn't happening because they're just going off what the fee schedule is.
Makes sense?
Yeah,
Okay. Any other input? Before moving? to the next one?
Report back to us on how it goes.
Oh, will do.
Okay. We have item III here as well. So
Tables and chairs.
we got the space and we need to look at some ways to furnish the space, so.
So I will report, they did leave us staging equipment. So like platforms that you can push open with some stairs that attach to have like a raised speaker,
Risers,
a
okay.
riser, there we go. That's the word I'm looking for. We do have some risers that were left for us, we do have some lecterns that were left for us. So we do have that. They did not leave us any tables and chairs, unfortunately. Oh, that's not true. They left us 2 large meeting tables with some office chairs
Oh,
in the upstairs
Upstairs.
west room, so like that is pretty much set to go for. Like if a group wants to hold a 10-15 person just roundtable meeting discussion. That's a good variety for them, that's a good option for them to do so. They didn't leave us any banquet event tables and chairs. So we do have a quote from Uline. I've also looked at Costco. I know it's been mentioned Menards and Home Depot. My 2 concerns with that, looking before the meeting at those options. One, there's no option to order the quantities we need. You have like 30 chairs available at the one in Wilmer, but you can't enter in the quantity you need, so we would be going like Menards hopping to try and get what we need put together. My other concern is that some of those are more residential themed products and we're using these for commercial uses. So we wanna make sure that whatever equipment we purchase is from a reputable seller and can withstand a lot of abuse. I really want people to take care of the center, but having spent a decade working in events, event equipment needs to be hardy equipment. That's gonna last you 20 ups and downs in one day essentially, sometimes depending upon how you're moving things around. I think a really good example that the city's again has tried to save before will be our Little League ballpark fence. That was a Menards residential product that we just this year spent thousands of dollars replacing because it didn't have the lifespan that we hoped it would have had. So this is an investment, I'm not saying that this isn't an investment, but I'm hoping that this is a once every 20 years or longer investment. To make sure that we have the equipment, at least starting out, we're starting out at 150. Could we add a couple of tables and chairs every year? Sure. But I think 150 is at least a good size to start for the size of events for our community.
you should get a table dolly too.
So there are 2 flatbeds already at the Armory. Our first thought when we were looking, we included table dollies, table flatbeds, but they actually, 2 of them already exist at the Armory, so we feel comfortable that the tables could fit on those flatbeds.
Do you have an area to store the tables on the flatbed in a room?
I think it's
And
just
would-
around the corner.
Would
of
that
the
hold
garage.
all of them?
So right
So
now.
then people aren't like putting them on there, taking them off there, moving them over here, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
less that it has to be.
The less that it has to move, so right now, one flatbed is on the lower level where like the mess hall would be, and one flatbed is upstairs. So we would split tables out of two of those, so if you did need all 25 tables in one location. You would have to move some either up or down, probably up to the gym. But we don't wanna have all the tables on one level because we're hoping that they're utilized on both levels. So we do, right now, the flatbed's just tucked into the corner of the gym. It's pretty unobtrusive, but there is a ramp into the garage off the gym where you could also use that as well. And that is why we added the event chair dollies. For here, because storing 150 chairs is difficult, and at the more residential options like Home Depot and Menards, they didn't give you the option to have some sort of equipment to store all of that, to make it easy for users to bring those chairs in and out.
The doors are wide enough where with these flatbeds, the table still being on them, they'd be able to traverse back. and
Yeah,
forth.
where these are going, primarily the mess hall and the gym, have double doors. To allow for the easy in and out of equipment.
Yeah, well, we need it, so I say yes.
One thing. You know, I don't see a couple quotes for that.
So I mean, this is the quote that staff is recommending, we do have, if you wanna see a quote from. Costco, we do have a quote from Costco, let me pull it up. The
Yeah,
picture's coming,
the other thing, I was wondering if you, so Bob Whitman, he's got a whole lot of tables and chairs, doesn't he, with the Legion?
Well, there's steel and particle board.
Yeah, but you might reach out to him, cause he bought a bunch of them, he bought lighter ones too, the plastic kind.
Yeah, I think,
Cause we were moving them for the Lions for the breakfast and stuff.
Yeah.
And he might be a resource that we could talk to, he rents those out as well. I would
Here,
encourage you
that's
to
too
reach out,
much.
I'm not asking, but reach out to him and talk to him and see what information you might be able to get, cause he might have a contact for bulk chairs and stuff. I just would like you to explore that, that stuff can be delivered in a day, you know, or two, so it's not a real time crunch from Uline. The other thing is, if you call Uline and talk to them, you can get lower prices than what they list. So I used to work with John Cooper, a representative, and I would always get better pricing, and sometimes significantly better pricing than what's online. So I do not want to accept the pricing that is coming from their website.
so then we are comfortable with waiting until end of April, early May to have furniture for the armory, because the next time. Then that we would assemble to look at quotes, if this is the direction all of you wanna go, would be April 21st.
Wait a minute, it's not all of us, it's one of us.
I'm just giving further context.
And, like, what if we have an event though, that
what's
somebody
Memorial
needs it
Day?
for?
Well, then we can probably rent from Bob.
But then you're already spending the money, I'm sure it's not gonna be $50 to
Well-
rent it from him.
Memorial Days.
I am being
April
consistent.
26th.
I have asked for the
She just,
Public Works and everything to get multiple quotes and stuff, and I just didn't see multiple quotes here.
You didn't see them in the packet, you're right, we did look at additional quotes for the equipment. You're
And I
right,
also
that
know
was my
something
oversight.
about the vendor Uline, so I mean, I'm not. I just feel like we can probably do better than that, and we should try.
can we direct them to ask for a better price? And then purchase them, or do you really wanna push it out another? Yeah, we're not even gonna meet for another 2 weeks, so even if they get a better price, they haven't been directed to go ahead and buy them, so then. They're waiting for our permission.
I mean, almost
Or do you-
$8,000 seems like we should make sure we are spending the money wisely.
Well, it's gonna come back to us with a
So-
rental.
Costco is a similar price for similar products, it's I just had it up on the screen, it's the $7,779.49, that does not include any type of dolly to move the chairs around. As I had mentioned, the Home Depot and Menards options. So those are less. You know, you have, if you're just looking at the price on the website and timesing it by how many we need. Menards is 5,748, there's no equipment for moving the chairs, but again, I can't order the quantities of chairs that I need. So I haven't looked into what a
Is the
special order would
quality the
take.
same?
I can't speak to that. I think that these are more residential products and not as much commercial products. But that's kind of what we're looking at.
You're saying that you can't order, is it you can't order them online, or is there?
I would have to call to see what type of delivery options, special order options would be available. If we're going the Menards or Home Depot
Because
route.
that normally is an option. I dealt with a situation with Menards where they only had 2 and I needed 10, and well, we can either order them directly from our supplier and you'll have 10 here, or they were willing to do the work
Yeah,
to get the 2 from here and the 6 from there and the 3 from here and get them
Yeah.
to the location that I needed.
yeah.
So I know that is an option as well.
But the quality, we don't know, and the warranty, I mean, obviously, is Menards gonna back up their product the same amount?
I don't know that answer, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I mean, I don't know what the quality is from Uline either, in past experience to ordering pallet jacks from Uline, they would break. So it's not like, Uline doesn't have universal high quality stuff, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know anything about their table and chairs. I just think this needs more work before we order. If we have an event come in and they absolutely need tables and chairs. You know, we can. You know.
I mean, I will, to be honest, I'll say, we don't have tables and chairs, that is a you responsibility. Like that will be our response, because trying to borrow 5 tables from one location, 5 tables from another to put it together.
Do we
that's
have
harder.
anyone right now that's gonna need tables and chairs that we're aware of in the next 2 weeks?
No, not that I know.
Yeah, let's not worry about it then. Let's do some research on our purchase.
That's reasonable.
Some further research, we have done some research.
Yeah,
And then
It should
we
be
put
good.
3 quotes. When we're
Three
making-
quotes.
Yeah, maybe we need to put in a minimum dollar amount where 3 quotes are required.
I mean, again, staff typically gets multiple quotes, we got multiple quotes, you're right, it was my oversight that it wasn't included in the packet. But we can make sure those are included, multiple quotes are included in the packet moving forward.
but the chair dolly is a must.
Oh, yeah. Nobody wants to carry
Absolutely,
those
so if
chairs around.
Menards doesn't carry it, then you could still buy that from Uline.
Yeah. I'll have to get dimensions to make sure that the chairs we buy elsewhere fit, stuff like that, yeah.
Alright. Everybody feel heard on that one?
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna move down to new discussion item D. Setting a public hearing for the conditional use permit.
Yes, so this is, let me go up a little bit. This is setting a public hearing for the conditional use permit for the Armory. To utilize it as an event recreation center. So that's what this is for. It's discussed at the planning commission. We have different notification periods we have to meet, so that is why this is on your agenda. So this is all part of the Armory and making sure it is properly permitted to be utilized and how we want to do it. It's a conditional use permit for the B3 zone.
Any conversation from council? Call for a motion to approve resolution 25. Got a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Howard, seconded by Ferguson to approve resolution 25, setting a public hearing for the conditional use permit of the Armory. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Alright,
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Alright, moving down to discussion item E, resolution 26. Rescinding resolution 2024 granting conditional use permit filed January 23rd, 2014. Document number 37072.
We're gonna let Pam take it from here.
Alright, Mr. Mayor, Council, we could actually talk about E, F, and G all in one breath, if that works for you. These were conditional, there are two conditional use permits that were granted for this location. That was to allow a research facility to be there. And the applicants were two different entities. Monsanto, and then I forget the other one. Elizabeth, do you remember? GK or something like that?
Yes. It was
And so it's just to be able to do the development that they had intended to do at that time. And the variance was to allow a variance from a property line as part of that development for one of those entities. So our state law is pretty specific as far as when you're granting conditional use permits, you have to, just like you did tonight, set a date of public hearing that's in front of the planning commission. The planning commission makes recommendations after holding the hearing. The state law does not require necessarily, it doesn't require that same type of process for revocation of the conditional use permit, although generally that's what we recommend, to go through the same process, because conditional use permits and variances run with the land. However, 462-3595 of our state law that says the duration of these permits and the variance are only as long as the conditions are observed. In this instance, none of the developments were even started. And so basically, by default, these permits were no longer valid. We probably wouldn't have even had to come. We are working with, cleaning up the title for the buyer. So as part of that, we're just doing these resolutions that we can record with the recorder to have them taken off of the abstract. So it's just cleaning up title.
Any conversation from council?
So these properties are, or these are parts of property that's for sale or that is in process of sale right now?
Yeah, they're all part of the Chrysler
Okay,
Center
that's
area.
Okay.
We all good?
Yeah.
Call for a motion to approve resolutions 26, 27, and 28.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made by Ferguson, seconded by Baumgartner to approve resolutions 26, 27, and 28. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Moving on down to.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this would be, if the council would like to have a quick update on the Chrysler Center, this seems to be an appropriate time to give that update, if interested.
Please.
Okay, so we have all the documents drafted. The purchase agreement sets the date for closing no later than April 15th. We've been coordinating with the title company to be able to get this closing coordinated. On your consent agenda, there was the lease and the termination of lease with the authority for those to be executed. So we did get the title commitment and search, and that we had provided to the buyers, and they did make some objections to that title. And so we have responded to their objections. A lot of their objections were things that weren't even under our jurisdiction. Related to county easements and things like that, of that nature. So just so you know, I wanted you to know that there was some objections. We have responded to them. But we don't have any reason to believe that it won't close. But we are waiting to hear from them with respect to our responses to their objections to the title.
Forward momentum, right? After a little backwards momentum. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, are there any reports from staff to hear today?
don't think we have any. The building project continues. We had a very productive staff discussion last week on our nuisance policy and procedure, so we look forward to presenting you with that at your next April meeting. Wow, this is the first time I'm trying to think of anything else. I think those are the big ones that are happening. I would encourage you all to fill out a water survey.
Already did.
Excellent, we appreciate that. But yeah, we're just, they're cutting down trees for public works, getting rid of some ash trees. The block outside of Bold School will be blocked off. It won't impact the buses, but they're gonna be cutting some trees on 9th Street, this week. And we're just keep plowing ahead with all of our different projects.
Thank you. Chief, everything good? Yep. Alright. Any reports from council? There was an EDA meeting on March 26th. Marissa, she's a staff from the planning and zoning here in town, helped guide the conversation regarding some proposed changes in permitted uses for the light and heavy industrial zones. We're trying to modernize and deregulate, I guess, some of those zones and help make development easier out in those properties in the light and heavy industrial zones. That's about the only report I have. And there's a pool report included in the packet. Fill out your water survey. Any other business?
You're now eligible for an incentive you all approved tonight, so if you filled out your water survey, you will be entered into a drawing. And 2 lucky residents who will have filled out their water survey will get a $50 credit on your utility bill. So, if you've already submitted it, you are eligible. If you haven't submitted it, there's still time.
Good thing we still don't have patterness on this board. Alright. With no further business, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I got a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Ferguson, seconded by Howard to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.